have you loaded up on a gurney. Mental health, because you stink and you're ugly. And don't talk to people. So I'm at Roosevelt's. Well, I'm across from Roosevelt Self-Storage, and there was a black Nazi male that was yelling about breaking my nose on tool shed. This ugly bitch was playing, I'm going to sign you and you're going to do this. Remember, there was a genocide of 31 million people in 20 years in Washington, and they targeted whites, white-looking, Semite, and warm-skinned European. And here comes another ugly thing. Another ugly fucker. Now, there was a police car, and sometimes the dirty police, of course, are involved, but also these fuckers will move into action even though they're clearly indigents, and they'll pretend that they are police and drag you off. It is a redundant theme in Washington by the morons. I just got a whiff of embalming fluid, which they've used to torture people, and also they're into blood and guts. They like to play with blood and guts and preserve it in embalming fluid. And these ugly things will literally steal anything you have if you're in the target groups. He just pointed to his dick. Sure, I'll help you get a transgender operation. I hear they're cheap in Mexico, bitch. Remember, those things can break. Someone should stick you out in a snowstorm and shatter it. That'd be funny. So, I'm threatened usually all day long, including by ugly pig things that will touch their genital area. They're ugly zombies, and they can't keep their mind out of their genital area. They are retarded. They're all about 30 IQ. And it seems that the very worst of the DNA wants to propagate itself just like a disease. They're both dangerous. Watch out. They were threatening me. They both need mental hospital care, and they stink. You can get them rounded up for stinkiness or health hazard. He's muttering about she has to go outside tonight. These zombies usually have connection points, including places like the storage units or Wallingford Library. That's where I go a lot. And then, of course, where I live at Green Lake Plaza. And believe me, if I were still a shy, awkward person about expressing myself, I would have been, well, hauled off by the boogeyman many times. You notice another reason to commit the boogeyman? He's ugly and he doesn't know he's ugly. All three males, actually there are four, they don't know how ugly they are. They need to be taught how ugly they are. They need to be popped into institutions. eating my lunch. What was my lunch? Some hummus, some baba ganache, and a little Middle Eastern food. I'll have a nice big lunch. Some citrus. Citrus always smells so good. I think I'll keep the peel around. Oops. You're a fat ass, ugly bitch. Fat ass! Can you hear me? Fat ass! She was telling me I was going to pick up something, and I said, you're a turd. Who's going to pick up you? Who's going to pick up Washington? Fat ass! Fat ass! Oh, now she's running. She's going to get that ass off in one day. What about the ass on her head? Ass is still there. I see it. The ass is still there. High-speed chase. Yes. Can't do it. Don't think I can do it. Don't think I can do it. I didn't do it. Hi, ma'am, the ramp. Thank you. I'll just stand because I get out at 60 feet. If you don't mind. Ooh, bum camera devil. There's a bum thing with them, and it's could be those things, those ratty things, and these ugly bums might again connect to Green Plaza. And he's talking about whipping people. May I have the ramp?
Oh, are you going on?
Yes, yes.
Just a second, just a second. Just a second, okay.
Thank you. So one of these things threatened whipping. 67 Roosevelt might be this ugly thing. These are ugly zombies, and they thought they could do whatever they wanted. And they killed 31 million people in 20 years. Nobody ever told the tale, and people are walking around with, well, I guess my brother-in-law says secret. Well, my family were secret black Nazis, I'm part black, and walking around with 3,000 identities. Believe me, they lived quite a bit too high off the hog for contractors, including my brother, Michael Tedho. So what you're going to get is sort of probably a feeling. Oh, this thing said you're going to have a driver. So this thing means you're going to be a slave, and he'll order you around. He's an ugly bum. So these people also aimed not just for people that were white, Semite, and warm-skinned European and white-looking. They also got their money, their property, their credit. But they also, not just that, they aimed at people that were talented, pretty, nice, and normal. I wouldn't dare go to a restaurant. Why? Cannibalism here. I'm putting it this one right here. And this is an irony, a dreadful irony, but this place was probably booming in the 90s. There are a lot of ironies there because people were sort of pushing, Indian food and becoming more, aware of different ethnicities. And where is everyone? They ate them. So a lot of these places are sham businesses. Like I see this place at night, it should be booming, and there's just like a few people. So where are they making their money from? Well, money, property, credit from killing people, but they're also cannibals. There's a booming meat trade of, unfortunately, tortured human. Ugh. That's why I went mostly vegetarian with some fish. I just ate my bean meal because, I'm not into cannibalism, and I don't want it. It doesn't sound intriguing to purposely try. This thing started yapping. Now get this picture of mongoloid left over from the decimation, and actually it's been going on 80 years from what I've been hearing. At certain points becoming stronger. I'm a target every day because of looking white with having green eyes. It's like a horror movie where people are ignorant and they destroy people of certain looks. And sometimes, ironically, again, more irony, they'll preserve people that look like themselves, including really, really ugly people or just people that they don't feel threatened by. And those people, well, the price for living here is they all are cannibal zombies. I'm in dire danger every day because I won't play. I won't even torture some guy who's raped me. Even if you threw a rapist at me today and said, "Oh, you can torture him and you're gonna, be in there for him or in with him for whatever X amount of hours," it's like, no thanks. I'm not into blood and guts. And I smell enough blood and guts to know I'm not into blood and guts. And I'm actually allergic to it, and it makes me have a constant kind of cough or sneeze when I'm around it. This thing just made a sign, and remember, she's ugly. You are hideously ugly. It looks like you froze that way. Your mom should have told you not to freeze that in that position. I'm not kidding. She was icky. Should have been warned. It's actually warmer than usual, by the way. I'm wearing a lot of coats. Whoops. So you things will have to go on first because I need the ramp. Maybe the ramp after she's done. I would have let you on if you're going. But he's talking about you absolutely will, blah, 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 blah. Even the kids are whacked up. He's been probably eating people since 3. One more. Thank you. Ow! There's nothing left of the kids here anyway. They're rapists, torturers, murderers, cannibals. They drink your blood. They're into crime. They're even used as sort of a decoy, like to make the parents look respectable or the companion. Heard of a few being stolen. Quite a few. Got some raised to get welfare. So that's going on. It goes on and on. I talked about it a lot. Mostly I do like a video diary, and then where I live I will do not just a video diary, I do a security cam.
Next stop, Northeast Ravenna Boulevard and Northeast 68th Street. Next stop, Guthrie Avenue Northeast.
I'm pretty good, thanks.
He's playing something on film. Taxes on film. They like to chant inane crap that they make up. Like you're gonna just go with them. Taxes on film. He's a psychotic moron like the rest of them. I'm actually going to Greenland.
Next stop, East Green Lake Drive North and 4th Avenue Northeast, Green Lake Community Center, Green Lake Ranch Library.
I don't feel like going back to my hovel early, as early as 3 o'clock. Because when I get there, I'll have to listen to morons threatening, including in 207, cocking guns, chanting and threatening all day, and alarms going off in funny places. Let's put it this way, it's such a bad
Next stop,
apartment, you would only want to decorate from the dollar store, not even that. Because I could actually make it look pretty nice in there if I wanted. With just some dollar store items, it's not worth it. It's not even worth plants. She's playing stab, she's chanting the word stab. She may have actually put glass on me. A lot of these people will actually see somebody who looks white and they'll put glass on you. They'll drop it on your head and passing over your head oddly. And they think they have an excuse when they, well, it looks innocent because they're holding on to the bars, or they'll throw it spastically. But she was yapping about stabbed. So there's nobody left. We're just insane asylum patients. That's all that's been left for the last 14 years.
Next stop, Orange Court North.
So I need a little blast or a bit of the sun. And even if I'm not facing close, but I'm going to check in with camera. Why? Because usually I get threatened wherever I go, and people have threatened to even shoot me at the lake. There was a blood smell wafting out of these expensive condos one day.
Next stop, Walter Avenue North.
I'm getting out with a dolly. This one was playing Dachau. These are horribly anti-Semitic zombies, and it is not unusual for them to use the names of death camps, and also very profanely they will use the names of heroes, war heroes such as Anne Frank. She's signaling face cutting. They're violent. Even an old lady can't be trusted. They've eaten. They've tried to find favor. She smells of blood. They will try to find favor with black Nazis. And it might even be just some old drunk or meth head that's killed people. They're wearing their clothes, they're in their apartments, and they look better than what they had ever looked like in their life in one way. Unfortunately. Quite a few are living that way. This one's playing Take Hand, an ugly retardo. And she started motioning toward me. She also started possibly grabbing glass. So the fuckers will be filmed. And I want you to note, well, I want you to, if you can see something, contact the Army. Contact the president. These are gone. And you can blame a lot of the problems of the world on these things. It's every one of them. She just signaled. They're probably in a victim's car, or it's victim's credit. Then, of course, if I sit at the park bench, I have to watch who's behind me, who's going to threaten me for my suitcase. I've had a lot of showdowns. And some of the worst threateners, guess who are they? People with strollers. Looks so innocent with a stroller. That's how also they've kidnapped families and just sort of worked them in until they sold the child to the next child molester, or sacrificed it ritually, if you can call that a ritual. I call Satanism the religion of morons. Evil morons. Remember, they like to play with bodily fluids, etc. So I probably won't keep the phone on the whole time. Interestingly enough, I just felt tired as I came here. I have to be very careful. I have asthma, allergies, chemical sensitivities, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. I am threatened all day long. I also have bleeding ulcers. He just motioned at his crotch. I only have the dollar store scissors, sorry. And what do you think that was? Well, in a genocide, remember, they tend to take slaves. So these people will take you for slavery. Also for your organs. So he was pointing at his crotch like a rape threat. It's not prostitution, it's rape. Call it what it is. kind of far off, but there's some uglies that thought they'd get my glasses. One had blue teal hair. There they go. It's hard to reach on the camera. Take some. Beep. This one was muttering, the spastic guy. That's the kiddie pool, in case you're wondering. These things we're talking about shooting people, I think me. And see, these bums will shoot people right in the park. And the redundant theme is, even if they're white, if they see someone who looks white, instant target. They come close to you and see green eyes, oh boy. And she just pointed to her crotch area. She was making a comment about FGM, and she was playing Madam. What is Madam? Well, the bums will literally accuse you of what you haven't done. It's sort of like they want to take your good identity and slip in their bad identity for you. You're accused of their crimes. Now remember, these are all cannibal zombies. Even the interesting woman who moves in a snake-like manner, she's actually making me feel a little repulsed, because you realize these are just cannibal zombies that have killed people. And if you see anybody flourishing in my state and they're unscathed, which I am not, it's a sinister reason behind it. They are in on the decimations of 31 million people in 20 years. And they have proven themselves to their black Nazi friends and other Nazi friends, by eating people and torturing people and animals very cruelly. And I'm not white, so remember that. I just look white. I've been on the genocide list for about, since the 80s apparently, but I believe I was poisoned even by my creepy sister as a child. And then I had a chilling remembrance of my mother. And now I've talked about my mother before, talked about my family, and they've been very much involved in gang crime since 1959 at least, when my sister met my brother-in-law. Her name is Don Blackmer. My brother's name is Larry Blackmer. And then you've got my brother, Michael Tedhope, who was Larry Blackmer's best friend, and is his best friend. Well, I've heard quite a lot of nasty, horrific things, including my brother being involved in, with my brother-in-law, and even Ted Bundy murders that were attributed to Ted Bundy, the serial killer. I've heard of cannibalism. I've heard of my brother keeping captives in the wall. I've heard of quite a lot of things. And I remember something. By the way, if people look like weirdos, they are. That's what's left. Now, I can remember my mother being incredibly paranoid. I now think some of her paranoia, including of rape, of torture, well, she knew what it was. She was involved with rapists and torturers, killers. And I remember my mother And you think of the 60s and you don't think of your mother as a pedophile or anything, but I can remember her being very much into bottoms. She loved cute bottoms and she would notice children a lot. Well, I'm wondering about my mother. Oh, and this thing just signaled. And remember, she's not superior in any way. Just always remember that. These things actually, it's sort of like, well, they did target white Semites and warm-skinned Europeans, but the ugly people targeted the pretty, the handsome, the retarded people targeted pretty, handsome, nice, normal people of talent and ability. But anyway, I remember my mother really, and this thing just made a face sign as well. And look at it, it's ugly. That meant remove face. He's probably a Zeta. So I woke up 14 years ago, everybody was a cannibal zombie gang member thing. And look at him, he's not attractive. He's an ugly man. He's creepy. He's looking at people he might potentially enslave or drag off. And he might even be signaling also so somebody can see him from one of those condos. I've smelled blood, like I said, wafting from the expensive condos. I was actually under a tree or something, and the blood smell was just blowing on the breeze. It's a common smell in Washington. And also, I used to hear like possible captives in there and smell things. And then I thought, well, how could they? If you look at the walls, they don't look deep enough. Well, look. See that door? And zombies love crawl spaces. They love trapdoors, so they like illegal entrances and exits. They like illegal places to stay in a structure. My brother and brother-in-law are involved in such methods of, well, they're not ghosts, they're not spirits, they're not any kind of UFO, let's put it, or alien, I mean. So I've seen the inside of that little structure, and that's a bathroom, and there is actually enough wall or enough space to walk through where you're on the other side of the wall of the bathroom. It explains noises. And you can't trust anybody here. And it's been very lucrative for them to take people and to take their identities and to take their money, property, credit, and to get them as slaves. And, kidneys they could sell even. They have a thriving practice of handing people over to other people to pay their alleged bills or bills within the gangs. So their drug bill, their child molesting bill, their whatever bill. Because some people supply these hideous monsters with children. The lake is pretty, indeed. And I like photographing it. This isn't a very good camera, I will let you know. I bought cheap cameras or phones. And the reason why is because my, this thing might have just signaled right here. Ugly male. Remember, nobody's normal. Nobody's good looking, hardly. And he's probably, he's a cannibal, but he could have quite a few food stamps and even people's Social Security. They'll actually breed women, by the way, and sell those. They sell them to child molesters and the children. So you have to figure the child, I don't feel sorry for the child, really. I hate to say this, but it's true. They're half mongoloid zombie. So, they're evil. This thing is yapping and making signs, and he needs some territorial pissing to show that nobody's going to put up with it. You look like an ugly imbecile. Nobody puts up with you. Based on ugly. And even the old man could be a slaver arranging slavery deals. The ugly old thing could drive a needle into your butt. Could happen on the bus. Guess what's... Now, I teach little hints. I'm not an expert. I'll tell you what they hate. They hate a backpack. Why? Well, they don't know what's in the backpack. If they well, not always, but they could stab you and then might not even penetrate because you've got a backpack. Also hangs out over your rump where they did, potentially, this thing just did a face sign even though he's hideously ugly. And so even the kids are grotesque human zombie torturers. There's nothing left of those dirty ones. And a lot of these kids are actually, like I said, they're in a wall torturing. And by the way, do you realize what's in the wall? What's in the wall? Your electrical and plumbing. So, you know, by the way, these are cannibal zombies, like I've said, and they love blood and gore. So they like defiling water. Now, going back to my icky apartment, I just wanted to kind of sit there a few minutes, not come back so early. I'm still early. But people like those ugly freaks, they make the park a very unpleasant experience. And I've actually been followed, and I've come to the park, and oh gosh, you might receive 100 threats while you're sitting or lying on a park bench. I live like I'm homeless. These bums are acting like they're kings and queens in everybody's identities. And even what happens is possessions, cars, whatever, which is a possession, it could be several generations of victim at least. And a lot of these cars are bought with victims' money, slavery money. So it was a concerted effort by which these people got rid of, well, white Semites and warm-skinned Europeans and white-looking. And don't kid yourself, whites went in on it. And you might say, hey, wait, there's whites. Well, the operative word is looking. Wait, looking. And a lot of these people aren't white. And I think Washington State was mixed anyway. There was a sort of very loose idea of white. And I'm not white. Remember, I'm probably an eighth black to a quarter. I'm also some Native American. I just happen to look white. I have to avoid floppy hand, where you just let your hand sag because you're tired when you're talking. So a lot of the victims, these are zombies, so picture like this guy going off, or one of those people, going off to do crimes, including, they'll cannibalize even though they're young, or cut someone up, or animals, and then they end up taken. So anyway, so picture someone who goes in and they do a crime, and then they're taken all of a sudden. And remember, a lot of these people think they're superior, that are overtly of color because they have poor people involved with them because they've dragged people off. And I don't see anything good looking there, but they're going to act like they're in charge. Will exhibit the zombie behavior. The zombies think they're going to be very dominant. Sky. I love the clouds, but I'm just checking the difference with the true colors and the camera colors. It's not so bad as long as there's lights. Interesting how the models in Washington, they're pretty ugly. There was a guy who was supposed to be good looking, and he looked, like loosely based white. That doesn't look white to me anymore. Why? Because I kind of, well, it's sort of like things became conspicuous that occurred. But this male that is on an ad for hairdressing, it's like considered an upscale barber. He actually looks like a meth head, a rumple face meth head alcoholic. And that's pretty much the norm for Washington. A lot of these people are sons and daughters of inebriates. There's something here that grows mongoloids and attracts mongoloids, apparently. Some people even that are foreign, it's like, where'd you get that one? That doesn't look like, that country. Oof. So I'm going to just pause this.
I remember like one time. What's that's so fun? Yeah. Yeah. 14 Tactic Express, like over the window. How long? It's like we're out here and I'm like having fun and then like actually just down here. Or those are just like the most carefree days ever. Ready to retire?
May I have the ramp after they're done? Yeah. Oh, I was going to get the ramp and let them first if you wanted. But, thank you.
Yeah, you got a side seat over there.
Hmm?
Side seat is up.
Oh, okay, thank you. Excuse me.
Okay, you are.
Excuse me.
Hi, thank you.
The women that were outside, the young women, were talking about my backpack, which is common. And then this thing is paying her rent. So literally when I woke up 14 years ago, everybody was extorting. And everybody was a zombie gang member.
Next stop, Sunnyside Avenue North.
get. I direct you to their
Uh-oh. Let's see. The first seat's available.
the city.
Here.
You get by me?
Yeah, don't. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye. So he was playing Don'ts. And these bums think that if they talk in some sort of code and mix up words you won't know, they'll mix the intent and bastardize a word. They might add an LY ending or a DON ending too. They use a lot of bad English. That's for sure. This thing lifted her arm slightly. It's one of the signs of a zombie. Wouldn't lift my arm, ugly bitch. You're fucked up. Can you imagine? She used to be ladylike. Live in ladylike apartments. This thing's playing. Fuck off, you ugly boogeyman. See, that's why the boogeymen need to be rounded up. Because they're insane and they don't realize how ugly they are. You're not going to tell me what to do, and you're on Google making a captivity slave threat, ugly fucking shit-ass moron bitch. That guy's a Crip, by the way, everyone. That's one of the Crips that hangs out at Green Lake Plaza. You come near me, boogeyman, trip to the mental hospital. Trip to jail. Crip. So the boogeyman needs to be taught that they're ugly and they're retarded and they smell bad. He is too ugly to be approaching anyone. Yeah, that guy's a Crip. That's quite a big Crip area up at Green Lake Plaza anyway, including in 207, where they always try and ambush. I live right next to it. Don't try to intimidate me. You're now on Google twice. I experience that shit all day long, and then as soon as I get up to 208, I've got shit asses like him. They crawl up from a dark green area, and they will even cock guns, including, it's like an S curve around the closet. So I guess 207's relatives are Crips. Some of the bums playing relative with me and friend, they're not, they're Crips. John Kovacs. Who else? Kathleen Toomey, there's one other. Oh, Greg Kinzel. And quite a few whores from Elizabeth Gregory home, including black whores, are from, well, they're Crips. And the whole place smells of blood and guts and fecal and urine, including in 207. And that is that thing you saw, that boogeyman. He's one of the bums. He climbs up. They go around. It goes through the whole building. They also use trap doors. I'm no gang. That's why I'm in terrible danger. And I don't have loyalty. And I don't give a damn if you're a Zeta or a Blood. If you piss me off, I'm going to tell who you are and what you're doing. And believe me, I can find enough hypocrites, including at the lake. Oh, guys just touched his penis. Well, if I wanted to, I could get them really chased out of the park that way. Why? Because there's enough hypocrites that are going to pretend that they're not rapists. So the ugly bum was playing something like Solveg Me. They think they're clever, making threats in a code. A lot of slavery threats right here, including by residents and their friends. And one of the lowest echelons of crime is that the zombies take people's stuff right off of them. They'll even use their phones off of what? Aside from accusing people who actually bought them of not owning their own phones, that's common. I try to keep my own cracked phones, and I actually berate myself for the phones I didn't keep. Because you can go to the library and use the old cracked phone. There's where the Crips. So it turns out that that Crip was a son of someone here. And by the way, whores and bums are cocking guns the second I got in here. And smart if I'm so stupid, I didn't even arm my alarm. That was very dumb. See, I'm teaching you by my mistake just now. Not to do. And the thing is, you know, you're kind of in a weird position when you have an alarm anyway, and when you have to clear a room. Why? Well, you make a decision. Are you going, and I'm laying the phone down, by the way. Are you going to leave yourself unsecured, or are you going to have a false alarm? Now, what about an alarm on and the place secured with the door stick, and there could be somebody in the other part of your apartment? Why would I even say that if there's an ADT alarm? Because it's not secure. And a couple bums from ADT come here. I keep nothing in this room. There's nothing of value. There's a whore threatening a brand. This is the most valuable thing. The floor is just muddy from my boots. I don't worry about it. I usually don't even come back this early. There's a whore yapping here in the closet crawl space. Those whores that I took a picture of or a video of might even be coming here. That's what usually happens. And they were yapping about backpacks, and they quickly climb into a crawl space area. Nothing in here. Now I'm showing you also that nothing is staged. But, so you have to make a decision, and I want you to consult with an expert about some details. You talk with the expert, you decide what's best for you. That's my people, it always falls down. So is it better for you to lock an intruder in with you potentially while you check out your apartment and have them like a mad bee? Oh, by the way, when there are kidnapping attempts, that's one of them. People will use any vehicle in Washington. So I want all these vehicles recognized. Now, make sure this is the new one. And these kind of sticks are annoying. Why? Well, they've got this little key device, which if you lose it, it's done. Now, they're pretty good, but also you notice it buckles in the middle. Now, what do I use to get it in place? Because if you kick it, you're ruining your shoes. You don't want to use a hammer. Why? And you can use a softer rubber mallet. They have softer ones. Because you don't want to ruin the wall or the floor. Why would I want to pay for a floor tile, which, you know, that's Seattle Housing Authority. They'll charge you a mint. And they're going to charge me a mint anyway, probably for my hasp that I installed. It's a metal around there. And those 3 whores are in the building that I took video of. So remember, one was Asian, one was a duskier tone than white, and let's see, what was the other? Oh, and one was a hideously plain dark Indian or black, but hideously plain with a really awful mouth. And even the teens and kids are ruined here. Oh, and I'm checking the closet, just so you know. I can even show you. There's nobody in there. Why would I show you on YouTube? Why would I stage anything? It doesn't help me. So there's some wire that's hanging out of the closet. This thing will fall down. Also, I keep wire there. Why? It tells me if someone's trying to break in. And there's a whore playing events, panties are down. And she's trying to do magic, and she's trying to make she's trying to do magic. And it's even deceptive magic. Like they'll play ours or mine about someone else. So not even their attempts at magic would be honest. It's always to hurt somebody that's innocent and to cover up the truth. And remember, those women are not very good looking women, and that is the norm in Washington. And they will grow up to be very plain looking zombies. And remember, millions of women that were pretty that were killed. And like that ugly, disgusting crip male walking around. Remember, millions of handsome men were killed. So, oh, here's an ugly, this ugly thing has threatened me at various locations. There's his truck, the little black one. And he has tried to grab me. He's tried to detain me as a slave. He'll hide in behind the closet and play She Won't Leave Me Alone. He's an ugly bitch. He's been complained about to the police and to housing. He is what he is. He's an ugly boogeyman. He even has a big ass. And he's retarded. He's diagnosed as retarded. Now, think of retardation juxtaposed with what? Retardation juxtaposed with playing professional. That's what they love doing in Washington, playing professional. On the flowers, those are for God and Jesus. And yes, I got them from the food bank. They give out. Now, at the food bank, as anywhere else, you will be threatened for eating. And there's a direct connection between crime and people trying to kill you for eating and drinking if you were white, Semite, or warm in European. Now, that double back move that the boogeyman made, that's a double back. He didn't want me to know he's going to double back on me. He'll walk back around. They'll do that at night too. So boogeyman zombies, you have to be very mindful of the double back move. They'll do it in this building too. Including the ugly old creepy black Nazi males that look like old ladies that are ready for the nursing home. Grandpa big ass of a black person. And remember, these things all think they're studs, even though they're hideously ugly and grotesque. There's a bomb yapping. The zombie gang members make lots of decrees. They also, so they spend time trying to do crimes, basically, including they will try to do evil, basically. There's nothing left of them. There's nothing left of those ugly teenagers that you saw. Those hideously ugly women. There's nothing left of them. There's a bum playing next to you. You play next to me, I'm going to have you on a gurney. Nobody's listening to ugly freaks. So one of the biggest ruses by the uglies is to have a male or female with a fake relationship going on. So the uglies want you to pretend that it's your boyfriend, basically. It's your best friend, it's your nurse's aide. They'll even drug you so you're insensible. So you need a nurse's aide, and then they're pushing you around. Oh, she's wonderful. You've been hit on the head. Dr. Jaffe, he's operated on your head. Oh, it's my nose today. I can't remember. My own family is in on that stuff. Remember, they want to defame and make you disappear. The real you goes off to pay them. You end up like one of them. You really do become a zombie freak in many ways. You play, their games. Remember those ugly women? They were very well photographed. You were photographed beautifully, I think so. You get to be one of them, ugly. Pretend you're beautiful because you were in on killing people that were better than you. And you're never going to forget they're better than you. I'm here to tell you that there were lots of good-looking, smart, pretty, nice, normal people that these bastards killed. So I'm going to do some work of just getting ready for the night, battening down hatches, you could say, like it's a storm. It's a siege. And you've even got ugly underage whores in a crawl space yammering that came from Green Lake. And they're chanting and yapping and even shit-ass moron whores like that. Oh, and by the way, you whores were also told about on the bus that you had threatened me for my backpack. So these bums are paid to commit crimes. There were some freaks I took video of earlier than that. They're on YouTube as well. And by the way, there is a direct stalking result if a white Semite or warm-skinned European dares go to the food bank. And black Nazis and their shit asses will portray that they own the food bank. And remember, my gross family is involved in such. And I'm going to pray in a minute. There's a bum playing here to blah, 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 will betray your jewelry. He means excuse me, I have to curse. And what am I doing? Wiping off counters. And I just basically wipe what I'm going to be touching. And usually the kitchen counters, even though I haven't been here all day, they might be dirty. There's also goop coming through the walls. There's gook. It's a and there's a bum playing your blah, 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 blah. These retardos spend all day yapping, you're going to do this. And you're gonna right into a mental hospital. And there's a whore playing in a play. No, bitch. What I'm going to do is get you in a fucking mental hospital. One of the whores that's here is Kathy Cox. She's a dirty, nasty, smelly whore. She's a methadone clinic patient. She is cannibal zombie, and she thinks she's going to give some kind of orders to people just because she's a nasty bitch. Kathy Cox is here! And about 8 years ago, and there's a bum threatening me over my quote, pony. What is that about? These ugly fucking bastards are animal torturers and people torturers. So you never know what kind of animal they're bringing into the building. And I'm going to teach you about your ancestors, zombies. And there's a bum playing you're going to come. She's saying, I'm evincing you're coming home with a friend of mine. I'm evincing, ugly cunt, that your friend dies in the hail of bullet from a SWAT team. That's what I'm evincing. And goes to a mental hospital, prison, or jail if they're not dead. You're an ugly, retarded bitch, and nobody would like anybody you like, because you're garbage. Your family's garbage. She's a methadone clinic welfare cunt. There's nothing to like about her. She's gross. She has no talents, no ability. She was never good looking. That's why she did decimations. Don't talk to me, ugly fucking bitch. You are ugly. You're gross. No one believes the bookie woman, that ugly, retarded mongoloid that you thought was good looking. That was pretty pathetic. I'm washing the surfaces. Be right back. Now, a lot of these retards will absolutely, and there's a whore playing my kitchen, my this. You get these retarded mongoloids, that's why they probably will have to die in a hail of bullets. Why? Well, they seem to think everything is theirs, including the apartment. It's sort of like a retard playing dibs. So they probably, a lot of them, will need to be shot. Am I threatening them? No, I'm telling you, it's like a movie. So you're going to need to probably, if you're out there in your law enforcement, you'll probably have to shoot them. And a whore is threatening whipping. And a lot of these whores and bums think you're just going to give in, like, to whatever they demand. Am I? Oh, no. I'll whip back. And you won't be able to go out your fucking door, even if you captured me. One of their favorite ways of capturing people is to enter through the front door. It looks legitimate, of course. Then they poke a needle in you while you're asleep. Nobody's listening to you. You're ugly. You're too ugly. Do you get it? I want you to think of all those times people didn't like you because you were ugly. Think of all the ugliness. Now you know I see you for what you are. Just an ugly, pathetic turd monster that turned evil. You're all turd monsters. I call them potty monsters. Why? Because that's all they do is eat. They're gross. Absolutely sick, gross things. Oops. So one of my phones really needs a good charge. There's a bum tearing either an animal or a person. Show everybody their ancestors. And comprise everybody's body out of their victims. I don't mean give them nice bodies or make them white if they're black. You make them out of pain and misery of their victims. And by the way, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done as earth as in heaven. Please forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. Now, Kathy Cox is an ugly female. She's in with black Nazis. A lot of these bums are. Remember my Gross family? They were secret black Nazis. And one of the black Nazi maggots is chanting Onbi. And by the way, isn't that fun that I got their little nest of crypts exposed? Little crypt nest. Little kind of pocket. Yeah, I found you guys new friends. I found you. Let's talk like they do. They like to talk in opposites. So we'll talk like I will talk like they do. Oh, and they're playing Wiffle, Your Danger. And the word Wiffle is being used for heroin shoot-ups and shooting people up with drugs. And remember, you're going to find retardos acting like they're professionals. They're also going to mix professional sounding words with illegal acts. Crimes, basically. So gosh, you just never know. Plot unveils itself. Oh, I don't need my heater on yet. Using it as a table. So, let's see. I'm going to charge up my phone. And there's a whore yapping, and she's calling me by the name of Linda. Why would a whore call me Linda? Oh, by the way, I'd like you to note about some tables that they use at Wallingford Food Bank. They have been used as tables by which they're presenting it as an operating table. They're actually zombies cutting up people to torture them. They might be immobilized, but a lot of them can feel it, especially if they wake up. So they're using a meeting table, a particular type. It's wood on top. They have white sort of legs that fold up perfectly. I'm going to have to take a picture. So a lot of these bums have made torture snuff films that have nothing to do with medical or alleged medical in Russia on political prisoners. I mean, there's various themes, including bums playing demon. So one of them's chanting Arista about kill. And so he thinks he's very clever using the word Arista as in kill. It's a threat. And remember, this is very common, including actual threats that are in English and not in code in English. Obviously, Arista is not originally an English word. And I have to even look it up. I know it's the name of a record company. But, I can look it up. chanting, so this is why I leave, and I usually spend longer time out, but my, I knew that my chargers would need to be, my phones would need to be charged, and I didn't get to work on a phone as I wished to work on it. Sounds like it's on the new phone. Yeah, that would make sense because I haven't set them yet. I hate that one. I get a lot of that. So I've got to get one of the phones off of battery, obviously, and I'm setting it because I don't keep anything in here. There's a whore playing blah 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 meth. And one of the reasons I don't, there's a bronzy silver car that came in, kind of a mixture. And one of the reasons and it looks older, by the way, I don't keep anything in here because you've got freaks hiding in the crawl space and the place stinks like urine, fecal, and blood. And you've got weirdos even trying to kick in my door. It should answer your question even about getting an ADT system. Now, why would a bum try to call me Linda? It's part of obscuring the victim's identity. And there's an ugly Indian male and some other ugly freaks that come here. He looks like a slug, and he stated, you're not even attractive, you're my Linda. As in, you're my victim. And he is ugly and hideous, and remember, he has made, like those ugly women, choices about who would die. Who's smart, who's not, made by 30 IQ uglies. Then you've got retardos that are Satanists calling nice people the devil. And yes, I brought those flowers home for God, and I don't even really examine them covetously. They're for God and Jesus, and I don't mix him up with the devil. They're not mine to even really toy with. They're for God and Jesus even in the midst of horror. What's that sickening ring again? Oh boy. Now, nobody legally has my new phone number. I will tell you a little something about the destinations, aside from home break-ins, including keying people's apartments, which is giving out your key to literally thousands of people. Car came in, AOJ 5 something, 320, something like that. Little silver shitty car. Silver gray. Oh, well, why would I say it? You probably saw it. I would have to say it. There's a little blue car, VHA 1661. There was a slight indication of a signal toward the building. These people will also have people in multitudes that will even threaten. And remember, if you were white-looking Semite or warm-skinned European, they came after you en masse. Now I have to keep an eye on what is charging well, what is not. Remember, my survival is sort of dependent on that. I will note that the zombie gang members, including with the racist design, they all do, and it's part of it. They took not only 911 away from people, including the dirty cops did that, but they'll also try to grab your cell phones. So I'm usually threatened for my cell phones, and there were a lot of males touching their genital area. So remember, also the rapist is ugly. C79 or C7409E or something. Kind of a weird truck came in that was too high. Black color, 4:40 p.m. And there's a whore chanting rape, Dulles. And remember, even if somebody rapes you and it's their friend and they've been threatening to rape you, you know, here's what they also do, and this thing signaled. So what they do is advertise you. They're obviously not all coming to the building for me. They're making cannibalism deals. Some are picking up their little, body parts, their tortured meat, their gallons of blood. They're paying for it too. And the gang member wants to go through life having the punished pay for being punished. I woke up 14 years ago and these dirty devils basically thought they could punish everybody. So I'm going to start charging more cell devices. Wire I'm using kind of sort of like a tripwire. What's the tripwire idea? Well, it'll make the door the alarm ring. And you might say, Lisa, you don't speak with emotion. What's wrong with you? Well, screaming and crying, that won't get you anywhere. Except if someone's trying to victimize you and you yell. Yelling's better than screaming. A piercing scream once in a while, but remember, I'm not an expert. A piercing scream certainly can be heard louder, more loudly. But consult with the expert. Everyone's different. Every situation is different. Some of you can't scream. It's hard to scream for me sometimes. I have allergies from this place, and I'm sick. I do have asthma, allergies, chemical sensitivities, chronic fatigue, and fibromyalgia. As of late ulcers, there's a whore chanting about getting a leader. These bums are into blood fetish, and if you ever hear anyone giggling about leaders, gallons. They are absolutely giggling about taking people's blood or animals' blood. They are sick. They are deranged lunatics. There's no reprieve for them. What does taking blood involve? Well, obviously, it's torture. You take enough of it, the organism dies. They're basically taking the life and feeling they have power over those people. If they're deranged enough to be interested in vampires too much, like obsessed, they're basically obsessed over demons. I believe it's a demon. It is the devil. It is the religion of madness in it. And then you have what's left, like here, it's all moron weirdos. There's nobody. And don't come at me with a white person thinking you're going to get away with shit. Why? It doesn't, oh, and there's a bomb playing whip. You play whip with me, you're going to get whipped back. And I'm one of those people, you do something to me, I'm going to do it back. I'm not listening. I'm not listening to Rich Harding, so you have no authority. And I'm going to get this place known as where the army needs to come in. If I'd been smarter, I would have absolutely checked my cell phone earlier, but apparently it wasn't plugged in. It came loose and idiot. Stupid. You just have confidence like, oh yeah, I jammed it in the battery. It's going to work. So I'm just still plugging in more stuff. There's a bum chanting about Jews, and it's a black Nazi, and remember they're anti-Semitic here, and remember my family, they're secret anti-Semitic. Secret anti-Semitics, they're secret black Nazis. Oh, by the way, I'll give you a little hint of what happens. Siren. What happens with the siren? The bums go into this mode where they're playing police. They're playing federal because they've heard a siren. Even a meth head in the neighborhood, he might even have an arrangement with a dirty cop. Oh, and by the way, I just watched a young kid motion at his crotch to possibly a car. He's walking up on the freeway. They're like apes. So you might see it. Let me see. Blonde kid, he motioned at his crotch. He made a rape claim. There's nothing left, and what I keep saying is, you've got retarded people. They are trying to spread really bad DNA. It is a disease. So they're trying to spread bad DNA like a disease. Both, now there are two males that sound alike, by the way, and one of them is an ugly Indian male, and one of them is an ugly blonde-haired male that I taped yesterday at the Wallingford Library. They're both hideously ugly. They both look like just retardos. They smell. They're boogeymen that nobody would want, and they've made repeated rape threats, beating threats, slavery threats, torture threats. Oh, by the way, there's an ugly male that was threatening me earlier. I don't know if I taped him. I don't think I did. Was busy. It's an ugly man, ugly old man. He looks like he's from Pakistan, and he has the funniest teeth, by the way. Not that that makes you look Pakistani, but he really got told out quite well about threats of extortion, which are very common. And I shamed him too. I told him the truth. Because I said, don't get any kind of ideas that I'm your wife, because I'm walking 30 feet behind you. I said, actually, you'd have to walk 30 feet behind me because I'd be too ashamed. And I said, actually, you'd have to walk in a different country because I'd be that ashamed. Plus, you're old. And I told him then that he'd have to walk in a graveyard because he looks like a mummy. And you need to talk to the boogeymen. Well, that's dangerous. So you don't, but if there's a government program or some kind of program that can educate the boogeyman about how ugly they are, that would be excellent. So you need to educate sloppy, gross old men, poopy pants, stinky old men. There needs to be a public service announcement, like show a man even with a young girl and say, she doesn't want you, look at her. Don't even try it. And if she looks like she's 14, even if she's 18, what's your motive? You look like a human trafficker. You look like a pedophile. there needs to be an education for boogeymen. They need to be aware, and boogie women. These things need to be taught. They can't just walk off with someone. Nobody in my neighborhood or anywhere near me is anymore a person who can convince people. And I see people that have been doing years of cannibalism, and you look around anyway, it's like, ugh. I think these were always mongoloids, and that's what I grew up seeing, and so maybe I didn't notice. But also, they hadn't killed as many people yet. So you didn't notice all the mongoloids. But I did notice a lot of really unattractive people that were considered pretty. And I know what that was now. The same thing with my niece and other bums. But it was mommy and daddy in gangs. So literally forcing, coercing, rewarding their kids' way through everything. That's what happened to my niece. And I was talking about at the lake, I had this weird revelation. I'm going to talk about it in post too. My mother used to look at people, and she'd look at even kids, and you'd think, okay, it's the 60s, and I didn't know any better. And she would watch people, but she'd say, look at that cute bottom, look at that cute bottom, that cute bottom this, she had a bottom finish. Well, my mother and the rest of my family were terrible gang members, it turns out. Mostly the people around my mother, I believe she kept their secrets and just accepted the gifts. Because she was full of avarice and, the perfume that she wanted or the jewels. It didn't matter if it came off of somebody's cold dead body. But all that cute bottom stuff and people watching, I'm wondering if my mother wasn't keeping an eye out for people that they could exploit. I don't know. How do I know now? Everything seems to be gang-ridden. She may have been signaling someone yeah, that one's got a cute bottom. Secret sign. Yeah, that'll make some money. Mm-hmm. And now I'm wondering about how involved my mother was. Try to work on this wire thing. I hate untangling wires. Ugh. It's terrible. In fact, I might not. It's a tangle. Ugh. I don't even have the patience. I mean, I need it, but it's pretty tedious to do so many things for one's survival. And it's kind of a tripwire, but maybe I can rig it, just patch the other wire together because it's hideously tangled. From the dollar store. Instead of being wound, it was tangled. Looks like something that, some fishing wire around. It's not even like a regular wire. Ah! There's a bum talking, and I hear him, and remember he said, Lisa's more efficiently, she gave girls to me. I'm not giving anybody anything. Remember, the goal of the gang member is to defile the victim through propaganda. It's almost like they can skip around then to the next identity. So they're not worried about that identity of yours until they clean it up later. But a lot of their propaganda is not just getting people to kill you and harm you. How would they do that? Well, and remember, they're retardos too. So this shows you there's nothing left. There's a bum playing blah, 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 my grandpa. Remember, also these bums will make slavery threats on behalf of their stinking moron relatives and their stinking moron friends. So what they're telling you is that they shouldn't be allowed to see the person they're calling grandpa. And grandpa goes to a nursing home and they get barred from seeing grandpa. Why? Well, they're making slave threats. They've endangered grandpa. And that's how you can put these fuckers away, including so-called grandpa. Maybe you can't get grandpa arrested. You can get grandpa put in a nursing home or committed, along with the other thing. There's a horror playing blah 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 blah. Calling police on road. Blah, 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 blah. She's standing in 207. You don't listen to them. They're just nothing. They're morons. There's nothing. They're playing going back again. So what does he mean? He thinks he's going to go back in history. Remember, I have to hear all this shit all day long. That's why I leave. There's no. Oh, and then there's a horror chanting about Hawk on, a dirty indigent at Roosevelt self-storage that nobody wants and nobody likes. These bums will try to force you into a false relationship of alleged boyfriend. Remember, then the boogeyman could walk off with you. That's why I'm laughing. It's pretty hilarious if people thought that that ugly, white-looking imbecile could walk off with me and be convincing. It's DNA stinks like a pile of manure. Stinky DNA. Stinky DNA brought to you by Washington. Washington's stinkiest DNA we could find. You couldn't find any stinkier. Here it is just for you. We're going to play Norwegian, even though they're decimated. And they target people, by the way, and then they'll call themselves by the name of the people they target. So they probably called that thing their Norwegian. And to me, it had a caveman inside of it. I think he was part black, by the way. So, calling something Norwegian, they did that in my family too. Call a thing Norwegian. Well, don't worry, I'm not going to spare anybody in my critique. No. Who do you think I? I'm going to tell you the truth. That's what I'm doing. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to get in your face, and I'm going to tell you the truth. And if you don't listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. 24/7 in your head. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm just kidding. That was just the door stick, and fixing the doors, they fall down anyway. So the tripwire, there's a lot of hot spot area here, and people try to break into that area. There's a thick voiced mongoloid male. How's your crack shattered nerves, morons? Did you like it? Did you like your crack shattered nerves? Relax. Did you like it? Up for days on meth eating people. Oh my. How do you respond to that noise? Let's lock him in a mental hospital and find out. And play the alarm over and over. Ah! Sorry, I'm a Scorpio. I know what you really like, though. A little higher tweet than that, maybe? Blackboard noises? How's that one? Is that good? Is that pretty? You can start singing to it. There's a guy who threatens all the time. Zeta, I think. Now, anyway. And any old lady that's flourishing, they're just cannibals. Especially if they look white. So I've got things plugged in, and I'm an idiot because I didn't check my phone. Moron! To berate myself. And I think that's 1, 2, 3. Could start playing with the other phone. I rolled it back to factory settings. Well, I know what I need to do. It's actually good to cover up food in a situation like this. And I don't use the refrigerator. Everyone is a cannibal zombie. And don't feel sorry for me when I turn around the camera and there's nothing in the room. I don't want there to be. I mean, why would you want your stuff stolen and kicked, when the door's kicked in? First week I was here, which is typical of Washington if you're white, semi-warm, skin European, doors standing open. Later, somebody had apparently cooked on my stove. And they used grease, and I don't eat grease. I got hit accidentally last 8 months or so, 9 months with, you might think something's vegetarian, or I think I tried something 8 months ago. Now I'm just arranging, I think I need water. And I'm not going to listen to zombies, so I'm going to turn on antenna TV. Getting things ready. What else am I going to need? There's a bum playing, blah, blah, blah. Reds for your coat. Not listening. Not listening to the guitar. I'm going to throw out my old coffee. Not listening. Now, don't worry about the floor being not clean looking. It's mud, and I don't care. So instead of staying where I smell blood, I get the hell out every day. Instead of, being forced to listen to torture victims that, remember, I've complained to the police. I can't fly through a wall and rescue. And plus, by the way, cannibal zombies, they're not important. It would be the animals that are important. I will let you know, a lot of people do crimes, and then they get hit. Like that ugly guy that threatened me. 6 months down the road, somebody gets tired of him and they eat him. Not like, it doesn't happen. And they eat people all the time. But even if he's doing a job for them, somebody else might eat him. So the guy's black, by the way. Important to note, just like my gross, evil family. They're black. Oh, I should have used that as a recycling bag. What a moron. Instead I used it in and there's an imbecile in the closet area. Notice the classified. Look at, there used to be this grading system, not really a grading system, but where people are known as imbecile, moron, dull. I believe my sister and brother were dull. Dull, and then some of them, like the cousins, they might have been imbeciles. Well, I can change this for anyway. Now, what kind of plastic bag do I have for this? Obviously, a plastic bag would be a better garbage. What? Oh, there's a bum paying money, paid money for you. Now, I want to let you know something. When someone tries to tell you you're obligated and so paid money for you, I was cheated, what do? If you offer, or if you don't want it, first of all, I can be facetious, and I could say, well, I'll call 911 for you. And you could settle that with the police if they took your money. And even if it's an old lady. Now, the thing is, there's a bum playing, you're going to be whipped and put in a chair. Am I going to? No. I'll go after the bitch. Putting after her. Just know that. Oh, and he said you're going to be cooked, or you're going to cook. Am I going to? No. And one of them is Eric Andre Kinzel's family, I think. He's and he counts on the fact, as a lot of cannibal zombies do, that they're going to be so mysterious if they hang out in behind a wall. So you're going to hear me repeating things that they say, and they've made some violent threats, basically. And they're playing I paid for you. Do you care if someone paid for you? No, you go to the police. It's not your problem. I don't care if it's an old lady that says, I spent my money on you. And I have no money for medication. Who cares, bitch? I'm calling the police and I'll get you some help. You can even act facetiously and stupid as if you're helping. But it's actually better for you to call 911. See, I'm just here by myself, whereas maybe you're not. So better the less contact. There's a bum playing, you'll obey me. Nope, I'll obey you getting shot by a SWAT team, cunt. And see, that's even too much engaging. You don't even want to engage them. And one of the retards, his name is Roger. He looks white, he is ugly. And they might have absolutely just now, I heard something like somebody's, he might have cut off an animal's head. So when you have people that will cut up people or animals, you don't go with them. It's not going to save the animal. And these bums are like the quintessential child molester, even with adults. Like, they're gonna hurt your buddy if you tell. They're going to hurt your horsey if you tell. And that's a problematic truck right there. Probably one of the kidnappers. It's not unusual for a vehicle to go barreling by whenever there's a threat. It's a vehicle. Like to know what that red thing that crow is eating. And these bums, you can't even trust them around wildlife. They'll poison them, drag them off after they've drugged them even, and then torture those. Even a crow, and then I hear them being torn apart in the wall. But if you go with these people, you're not going to ever save a crow or a bunny or a squirrel. They'll just hurt you. They'll have you hurting the squirrel, the bunny. And so John, excuse me, I said John, but Greg Kovacs, no, I'm getting names mixed up. Greg Kinzel is a Crip moron. And his brother is Eric Andre Kinzel. No more mysteries. And ironically, there's an agency named Museum of the Mysteries. They were into UFOs and ghosts, and they connect with others. Well, all of those agencies are actually agencies that fell to the gangs even 30 years ago, and they were there probably to cover up people using trap doors and beams to shimmy along and drop down into the hallways, and also they were there to cover up usage of, basements, people's own basements, people's eaves, and coming up through the trap doors, basically places, like I said trap doors, but places to exit, enter, exit, and to stay illegally. So they covered it up as ghosts and aliens. And they played government, when in reality it wasn't your government that came after you, but that is not to suggest that evil DSHS people are not involved. It is not to suggest that evil Social Security and city morons aren't involved with the dirty police and bad FBI. So what's the exercise again? Remember, I'm not an expert. What are you going to do when someone says, I spent money on you? How do I know this? I've heard it every day practically for years. Even if you say, well, you didn't hear it 14 consecutive years, there were a lot of years I did hear it every day. Or every week, or every, couple weeks, week and a half. So do you care if someone says, oh, I'm going to get my head cut off if you aren't raped by me? That's not your problem. You call the police. How about, I'm going to be a captive. I'm a captive and you're going to go shopping with me. Otherwise, they're going to kill me. What do? It's not your problem. You call the police. Why? You could also be busted for being seen with a captive. These bums want you beyond reprieve in both the physical and the paranormal world. And look at welfare ass and welfare face. Those are really too nice of cars for these people to hear. They scream killer and welfare ass and welfare face. Even just a modest car. Also, this those are townhouses, and then we have $3,000 and more a month in this neighborhood. And then I'm seeing whores that are in their 20s coming out of something that's $3,000 a month. Something's going on. Stinky whore actually would have climbed out of, even if she's attractive, she probably would have climbed out of something that was, now here this thing is worth market rate of $1,046. So stinky whore, young stinky whore, might not even have climbed out of 1,046. She would have had to live in a different neighborhood. And that's she's blonde. She looks white. She does her hair. But she lives in that faux Asian place that's so tacky. Like faux rice paper that's glass. It looks terrible. It also looks like a nursing home. Pattern of excellence, though. Remember, they killed people that were smart, nice, normal, pretty. Smart, nice, normal, pretty. Am I going to listen to him? Now remember, there's a thick voice, moronic, black male, I believe in there as well. And these morons will break in your apartment and house through the wall. And remember, he sounds like just a retard. He is. They all are. That's what's left. And that noise was someone in the wall. And they're pretty confident because there's no phone in this area. Oh, and another way they killed people and got them, they put white Semites and warm-skinned Europeans under illegal surveillance. And there's a whore playing Numo, blah, 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 and they'll constantly talk in code. And she said, Numo wants new violence. And they just probably cut off the head of somebody, like an animal. Let me tell you, the animals are the only somebodies. And apparently, I heard a horrible story. These bums will actually take animals around as if they're solicitous toward them, and dog walkers. And it's often a ruse, especially if they have the same animal over and over, apparently. It's not. It's a way to smuggle animals continuously for the animal cruelty, Satanism, and then tortured meat trade. So there was this absolutely beautiful mutt yesterday. He was like a classic mutt. Sweet, floppy, just cute, cute, cute. I heard a horrible story about that poor mutt. And these people also will purposely try to defile animals by having them fed people or other animals. And a moron is chanting pneumo. Now, why would he also chant pneumo? He's also now trying to use it as a code for pneumonia. So, pneumo, and then you're not going to know what they're talking about if they talk in repeated code. So they can shout, pneumo wants this, pneumo wants that, and then they're actually, they might be making a rape threat, and then there's a moron playing hence your record. Remember, he's a dirty moron, and I woke up to 14 years ago, everybody pretending I owed money. I'm going to turn this around in case somebody does break in, and I'll just describe the car. And so that was, oops, did I spell something? The game was you owe money to everybody. And that happened if you were white, Semite, warm-skinned European. And one of them is threatening me for a gallon of blood. Now, I'm pale. Oh, there's a horror playing, evincing, lying black, blah, 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 yap, yap, yap. Remember, they've played, we're going to get you for being white, and then we're going to play, you better act black. I'm actually ill. I have asthma, allergies, chemical sensitivities, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and I have bleeding ulcers. One of the retards is, like I said, his name is Roger. He's not untraceable either. He is from Burt Gilman Place Apartments. One of the horrors is yapping Epi-Star as a code. And you're going to be seen, and I'm going to push the refrigerator back a bit so we have a better view of the room. If some moron came in. Oh, and by the way, if you see me making a hand motion and gritting my teeth, I'm not on drugs. I'm seeing retardos. And they need to be cursed, believe me. So I'm just putting food together, not listening to shit-ass morons. Oh, and these things will repeat. There's another bum chanting angels, endlessly my angels. I think I'll have pears later. Oh, and there's a whore playing, obviously been drinking. I actually don't drink or smoke. I don't take drugs. And there's a bum chanting about my finger. And remember, oh, and then he's chanting movie star. Guess what they'll do to one of them in a few minutes? Can you guess? One of them in a few minutes, they'll probably kill. They'll probably start chopping them up. It's predictable. Am I in the game? No. That's why I'm in danger. So they'll start chopping one of them. They've lured him. He thought he was a big cannibal. He thought he'd be big forever, like a vampire. He's not. And they tend to pick on people more that are white, and it's really sickening and pathetic, or white looking, because then these white looking or whites, remember, I tell you the truth, they absolutely showed off for their black Nazi friends. I should have stayed out longer so I wouldn't have to hear this, including the moronic females. Oh, by the way, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. There will be done on earth as in heaven. Please forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. And these bums are chanting and yapping satanically. They're chanting threats. And a whore in the closet is saying something about cigarettes or something. I don't even know what she's talking about, and I don't care, because they'll also threaten you for slavery, like you're going to go to the store. It's called SWAT team. She gets her face shot off. She might learn a lesson. I don't know what a SWAT team would do. Whore starts shooting around the place. You call 911. She's out there. She might get her face shot off by even a resident. Remember, and there's a silver ugly card coming in. It has a rosary, ironically. Remember, they're all devil worshippers here. There is nobody nice or normal. There's a bum claim you will obey or blah, 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 or check. They think they're going to have you write checks. Am I going to? No. And then they'll try to run money laundering back and forth. And they'll pretend they paid you, including they'll try to pretend that they paid you, like what? Oh, a box ending up on your doorstep. You don't play. If you hear a box being slammed on your doorstep and it's never there, it's not a ghost. They're trying to frame you for their business. And that could be anything. It could be as sinister as animal or people body parts or drugs that you could get blamed for. So put a camera up. And they're chanting and yapping repeatedly. Now I have scars. I don't do anything for my appearance. Why? I'm scarred from glass being thrown. I've talked about that. Getting a little kind of tired, pale, obviously. I must have been more sick than I thought today. But there's something going on that's making me feel sick, so I shouldn't have come in here early. I get sick from the smell of blood, even if I don't know that I'm smelling it. Or drugs. It's probably drugs. There's a bum plane drive you. Remember, they're sick freaks, and you don't go with them no matter what. Like, I'm going to go down with the ship. Once you walk away with these people, just like the experts tell you, you're gone. So once you walk away with the retards, you're absolutely done. You're done. Okay, salad. We can have that later with tuna fish. Smells like cabbage and kale. Pretty stinky. And why would I walk around with my food? Well, the least amount of touching, the better. And I should have put this in my storage. I stopped there. I can have pears later too. Well, the least amount of food touching, the best. Why? These are cannibal zombies, and not only will they take everything, they'll try to defile it. And by the way, they'll rob you if you're on the genocide list for $10 worth of food. Look what I just did. Did I really spit on it? Well, no, just spit, you can't help a few. Well, if you're ever worried about being robbed of your food, like you feel like someone's scoping you out in the grocery store, they might be. They might also be tracking you if you're white-looking, Semite, or warm-skinned European. Remember, I'm not white. Also, zombies are germaphobes. But, I didn't really put my butt there. You could go, achoo! Oh, man. You could do it discreetly. I'm picking my ear. Am I really picking my ear? No, but I touched that area. They're coming to get you. You can see BOH 3084, silver blazer. Several cars, or another one, 438X, or YXA or something, going up that way. Remember? So, same person who's eating raw people and animals, they're morbidly afraid of germs, some of them. Really love it. Oh dear. Oh, my nose got near that one. Oh. Now, remember I used to be ladylike, but there's no reason to be. Not if they're going to take your stuff. Would you rather be really ultra ladylike with your little shoes that will help you get pulled into the van better? And, I suggest wearing a belt. Why? It's crucial seconds for being raped. And remember, it's not about being pretty. It's about survival with me. I don't even care if I get fat. Why? Because I'm not eating people and I'm not eating tortured animals. I eat fish. Hopefully it's not tortured. And a little weight on me. Good. Harder to pull in that truck. And everybody's ugly and repulsive here. And everybody's scratched. They throw glass at people that are on the target list. They'll put it in your cosmetics when they break in. They'll put it on your stuff. So my hands are severely scratched, even if you believe it or not. Different water, supposedly, for, quote, Europeans. Acid burns. Relatives in on that. Dirty cops. At least one dirty cop is on the premises. And what do I mean about dirty cops? Well, they're into big-time revenge. They run the gangs. So what are they going to do? So one of the big ones, you complain about their friend, including a whore that works for them or they like. So backing all those people's sewage from the area, the property, the building into yours. Even if it's just your other neighbor. Sorry, I itched my head. That's not nice. Well, I better check my food now. But, so I went through that probably longer than this 14-year period. And some of what I've heard is that my sister put a hit on me in the 80s. So, excuse me, there were some interesting incidents. Home break-ins. I'm feeling a little dizzy, a little weird. Might have something. Well, I don't see your license plate. It's a big green Bronco thing with a same color. It's like a teal green almost, slightly shy of teal green. A little blue in there. It's not forest. There's another name. There's a Crayola name for it too. Canopy looks sort of like a rag canopy. Same color. As much as they could arrange it. Pretty good match. But Bronco type. I'm gonna have my vitamin water or something. What is it I want? The bum playing pinky. UFO. Oh, we're in person. You're in Washington, you're in US, you're in Earth. Remember, I like to do energy exercises, you're cursing them. And it's just covered up. Now, if someone breaks in, I'll tell you what else they'll do. Okay, this is what can happen. Rapes and beatings in your sleep, illegal procedures, impregnation, purposeful infection with diseases, whether through needle or just sneezing and coughing in your face, rubbing glass in your face. What else? Cutting you, injecting you where you will be debilitated, whether accidentally or on purpose. So, injecting you in your head, being taught by a professional where to hit you, is being done as well. There's an ugly male. He just raised his fist. Zombie sign. He's got a kind of a weird face, like he's white looking with a dog that he's running around with. Doesn't mean he's going to be nice to that dog. Doesn't mean he's nice to the other dogs. Those are the toughest dogs in the neighborhood. It's a crack whore. She's on slavery, torture, murder, rape with her black boyfriends. And she's repulsive. Believe it. And that needs to be their reward. Zombies, all of them need to be rewarded by looking repulsive. People need to know that they're abhorrent and aberrant. They need to be ill. You need to put those curses on them. It's not sinful to curse a zombie. And I apologize for my whiteness. Like, it's pallor from being ill as well. I'm very tired. I've lived through 14 years of hell. I do apologize for the way I look. But remember, I've been made uglier. I've even had acid in my water and radiation. It's a miracle I'm alive. I think God wanted me alive so I could tell you what was happening. And even if you think I'm crazy for having nothing, I'd rather have it like this than have victim stuff. And you'd be heartless if you would worry about a nice apartment in the midst of hell, and stupid. In between the smell of blood and guts and urine and fecal and other foul smells, and the door being kicked at and being threatened with guns, cocking sometimes all the, like, not there because that's too shallow, but it's like an S curve. Oh, and then threats and plots that I can hear. It's like, yeah, we're going to get her when she goes outside, and we have acid, and we're going to hit Lisa Guthrie with acid. I literally could hear that 24/7. Oh, here's some sirens that are fake a kidnapping. Or not fake a kidnapping, but fake that they're legally here to arrest me. The morons in this building are so stupid. They even did that during a fire department call. Oh, and by the way, as for being pale, I'd rather be pale and even have those nosebleeds that are like water than eat puppies and kitties and people. And I thank God for making me have that attitude. By the way, every day the dirty zombie cannibals are trying to force me into cannibalism. So one of the whores was bragging about what they did to a puppy. I was thinking today about decorating. There's so many ways you could decorate, even if all your stuff is in storage. You could have made this place even look nice with dollar store stuff, really. Used and dollar store stuff, not worth it. Not worth it. You could even have made it look nice with dollar store, used stuff. I'll start over, where you have nothing of yours left, except maybe a few items. And then you've got dollar store, used, and plants. Possessions have grown to mean so little to me. And I did actually donate a lot of my possessions to Goodwill or St. Vincent. It was somebody who was still picking up at the time. And then after that, the American Cancer Society. And then, that's not to say they're not zombies. And then after that, a church. And then a bowl or something else at Wallingford Food Bank. And then also I've left some things out. Nice things, but I didn't feel like messing around with selling them. I didn't feel like it was good enough to sell, but yes, it was good enough to give away. Like a dresser and a few other things at Roosevelt Self-Storage. So when you're living in hell and people and animals are being tortured, are you going to worry about possessions and your pretty towels and your nice table and your pretty chairs? And who would use it? Well, if the deranged lunatics kick their way in, it's also easier to stage a slavery false relationship. What do I mean by that? Well, where you're in here with your best friend or boyfriend and all your pots and pans, and it's just so nice in here and cozy. And you're in here with your black Nazi boyfriend that's molested and killed and eaten people. That'd be easy. Or some white mongoloid, or in between. It's much easier to stage slavery, Igor style, if you have a bunch of pots and pans, accoutrements of the household. I don't, and that's why. Also, I don't have anywhere to put anything that's not touched. If you look, I have glass marks. The Roosevelt Self-Storage, people have given out the key that work there. It's not unusual for my stuff to have weird rips, tears that look like slashes, odd smells, including unusual perfume that I will smell on people at the bus stop. Food smells, dirty people smells. There is nothing. I've even thought I was kicking out. I rolled in something and I kicked at it, and I think it was bone. And I noticed that later, because I thought it was candy. It's how your mind thinks when you're not into what they're into, the cannibals, that is. And I came back and there were like these blood drops. So also there might be, I also found these weird little pieces of possible tissue. I try not to go into too gory of detail. And bombs of brag that they sprinkle, people's items, including mine, in there. So nowhere is clean. Oh, by the way, there's a noise underneath. There's thudding underneath! And it's a public bathroom underneath. So there's also a constant threat of somebody coming from underneath. There's alleged trap doors, which I believe. And I've seen, like I was lying in bed, I had a YouTube video, and I heard this terrible clanking and pounding. I'm hearing some now, but it was worse. It was a different kind. Oh, the bums were plotting another bathroom collapse this morning. And remember, my relatives are contractors, and so they and the dirty police have been working together for years on hauling away crime scenes and covering them up with their construction agencies, Blackmer and Tudhope. There's one of the creeps from the building, I think. He's actually possibly hid in a crawl space and disgorged shotgun shells. And he was making fellatio rape threats. and he's made slavery threats and torture threats and even cannibalism threats toward me. I don't know if you saw him, he was in a green coat. So, I should have gotten out 14 years ago, I guess. Out of where? Out of Washington. I don't know what I would have done though. And by the way, people have bragged that they've made it too late for me by scratching my face and also purposely trying to infect me during a gang rape with HIV at, I had one test and I was negative. I need to have another one because I've awakened with a shoe print here. And it was a shoe print bruise, obviously. And by the way, these bums think they're mysterious, trying to infect you with disease. There is a black moronic Nazi at floor 2, near the laundry room, 2nd floor, Aurora DSC. He's ugly. He's got a slight red cast. He was growing a beard. Again, another boogeyman that nobody would want. I mean, scratched or not, they're all too ugly here. They're gross. It always was a slime gene pool, apparently, because they had this 80-year war on whites, white-looking, Semite, warm-skinned Europeans going on. So there was a cave-in plot that is popular. Oh, and there's a moron playing you're going to do an interview. And remember, this is a terrorist building. Remember the address, 505 Northeast 70th Street, Seattle, Washington, 98115. Is it a person who's literate or smart playing you're going to do an interview? No, he's guaranteed to be a moron. And he's a fat slob that's diagnosed as retarded. And he's from Aurora DSC. He looks like a maggot. He's hideously ugly. And he's bald, and ironically, even though he is fat, he has an ugly skull face. He's hideously ugly, he's hideously retarded. He's nobody anybody would want. Let's put it that way. Nobody would like him, and remember, he's retarded. And who backed up these people again to make them get out of hand like this, to make sure that they were uncontrollable? Dirty cops and just about everybody else. So what does that tell you about the cops? They're retarded. And there's bum playing in a blah 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 blah. A towel. The bum is making a threat about a towel. Now, what about a towel? Well, they make a lot of gore as zombies. Also, they're into bodily fluids. And so they think they could force you into doing something. Such as cleaning up their gore. And they're going to have a lot of trouble. And if I have to get the building shut down, I will. It needs to be shut down. You need to shut down all forms of housing in Washington. They've always been used by criminals. The old ladies that are innocent were gone. They've been killed or abducted. Or they died off as abducted. But they've been killed or abducted. Same with the old men. There are no innocents. Now, I can't find my paper towels. That would be one stupid thing to lose. And remember, these are all ugly retarded. And there is nobody who's allowed to force you into doing something. These are retards. They're playing maid. Am I going to play maid here? Oh, no. So help me get the building shut down. And remember, they're going to try to cover it up like one way they'll torture people, so they will be forced into signing that it was a mutual agreement. You were hired. Now, did you hear the list of what's wrong with me? That's not even all of them. Bad back. I'm not even allowed to be hired. So they're breaking the law. You could actually say, anyone coming near me telling me that I work for them, oh, and he's playing obey back or bat or something, they're actually breaking the law in a very severe manner about someone who's considered disabled with all those things wrong. So that alone, and do you see how pale I am? I'm blue-gray. Probably blue almost. And I've been poisoned, raped, tortured for 14 years. Tortured as in my sleep, beaten. They'll beat you. Remember, they'll also inject you in areas to make you mentally deficient, blind, deaf. They'll try to scar your face. They'll even, now to drug you, to keep drugging you, they'll even inject you in like a mole or like an existing scar or open door. Now what am I doing? I'm going into the restroom and I have to super arm the area because it's so dangerous here. By the way, Officer Bobby of the West Precinct is here. Officer Bobby is a terrorist. He and the others have threatened other states, other countries, and they've threatened the president. He is not allowed near me. He is from the West Precinct. He is a stalker. He's not in the right jurisdiction. He is not allowed near me. He is a retardo who has used his creepy retard friends, as many professionals do. They pretend they're creepy retard friends, or just their friends are police and FBI. He'll pretend he's FBI. They're all in with dirty black Nazis and the other stuff. He eats people. He is a cannibal zombie. He is a terrorist. He looks like a leering devil. Some people might have thought he was handsome, but you know, when you have white teeth and you have skin that hasn't had glass thrown at it, well, you know, a lot of people think people are nice looking just because of their skin. It kind of looks like a distorted devil. He actually, to me, looks like somebody with an anomaly, a birth defect. And remember, I'm cursing. If I make a funny face, weird hand, and I'm on drugs like these things. There's a bum playing, we just gotta hold hands. So what's the we've just gotta hold hands? And remember, these retards play the same game over and over. The we've just gotta hold hand thing is the bullshit where they try to make you look like you're in a relationship with some garbage. And they are garbage. So I guess Officer Bobby would like another call to the OPA. And there's a horror playing evince this wall opening. So the crack hoe is thinking she's magical. She'll evince it opening. I'm going to lock off this area, but there's a tripwire here. So when they try to open it, it'll make a ringing noise. Shut the hell up, bitch. One of the horrors in there is the wife of one of the police officers, including, it could be Officer Bobby's retarded, horrible wife. His retarded, horrible wife. Officer Bobby is here along with his horrible wife. Got your terrorist list out. Ugly bitches. You're done. I'm going to announce you on Google. They're playing, I'm going to taser her or tease her. He's making oh, you know what, you fucking ugly hooker bitch? You're the bum. You're the one eating people. Don't even talk to me. Don't engage with me. You're a fucking shit-ass bitch. In fact, you're going to hear me do some curses, tear them out of their bodies, and burn them up. All of them. All of Washington. Your answer is you end up on gurney because the SWAT team gets here. That's your answer, ugly bitch. And they're taking advantage of the fact there is no camera. I better check the camera out and maybe put one on. Oh, this is terrible. This wasn't charging the way it should. I'm going down. Oh, it smells like wine right here. Officer Bobby is here with his whore of a wife. They are hiding in the crawl space, making threats, and the ugly, black, bald, old black Nazi is in there with them. One of them. A lot of these bombs, now the Satanists like to tell people they'll be prettier or handsomer or smarter if they do evil things. So you can bet Officer Bobby and the other shittards, a red primer truck just drove by, black windows. It's dusty. It's like older truck. 90s hardware, some crumpling, or a thud, an impression. Anyway, so like retardos like Officer Bobby might have white teeth because he's gone to a dentist and he could afford big caps because he's killed people. He's going to play, oh, if you drink this blood, oh, you'll be so handsome. You know that's not true. But he and the other scumbags will tell the other morons that they'll be beautiful or good looking. There's small vehicle, black male that's white looking. Oh, he's driving in. And then there's a female getting into sort of an ugly snub nose mini or a sloping nose minivan with a ski rack. Here's some activity, car activity. There you go. There you go, if you can see it. Oops, too high, too low. Here you go. And I have to laugh because the ugly scumbags think they're kings and queens because they've killed people. So Officer Bobby's wife was calling me an indigent. There were bums that threatened me all day, including at the lake. There were 3 plain women, young women. They showed up here right away. As soon as I got in, I noticed they were here. They were noticeably plain, as I stated, and one was horrifically plain, and she was black and Indian looking. And another one was white with other, as if she had a slight tan. And one was Asian and white with kind of a long nose and long face. She had a distinctive crocheted sweater. Those women may have been in their teens. One or so may have been 18. Late teens. at the mental hospital, and he can do macaroni on cards. Macaroni on cards. Macaroni on cards. Macaroni on cards. There's a lot of odd thuds, and remember it's a bathroom underneath. And also there is an area where they come out in the hall, and they jump down from the beams. An imbecile male in his 20s or so was threatening me. He had a top knot of blonde brown hair with a rounded nose, and I believe he's here hiding now. He is the son of someone here, and he is a crip. He was tall, and I believe people thought he was probably good looking. It reminded me of my disturbed brother, Michael Tedder. Actually, there's a horror plane worried about you. Remember the tricks? Worried about you, helping you, blah, 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 blah. They're playing Finnish Palumbra. That means, oh, we've been torturing her 14 years, killed. That's probably the retarded Indian guy. Retarded. I think it's time for some milk and coffee. It's time for milk and coffee. I think it's time for milk and coffee, and I'll have to super alarm because remember, the zombies will attack if you're eating and drinking and you're on the genocide list. Just like that movie. Morgan, we're gonna kill you. Now, remember, I can't violate copyright, which I wasn't trying before. Last Man in the Blink, Vincent Price. She's eating! She looks white. She has green eyes. That's practically the officers now. I use recyclable stuff. I don't keep cups or plates. I donated them all. I just heard a possible animal. Here comes a vehicle, truck, a Tundra, silver, dull silver. Some distinctive, there's this underbody has these these black pieces, like it looks like a pull out something, like you can stand on it. It looks weird. It's parking. Oops, I touched my head, but I touched my food. I never would have done that before. But remember, the goal is zombies are afraid of things. She looked at. Sure, they might have AIDS from eating people that had AIDS and torturing them, but they're going to be afraid of germs. And the slogan is, once outside the wall, normal. FedEx just went by. Oh, and there's a horror playing, I'm going to swoon you. And it's Officer Bobby's wife making torture threats. And so she's a pretty pathetic woman anyway, and she's playing interview. Actually, you need to have her taken by a SWAT team. And I'd like to mention something about the horror. You'll love this part. She's pretty pathetic. Why? Officer Bobby's little boy toy is usually hanging out here. And what's up with this boy toy? Well, I'm putting white chocolate in here in case you're wondering. Why? Because I'm crazy. Her boy toy, or his boy toy rather, an ugly black Nazi in 10 gangs and boasts of killing 40 whites a day. That's his boyfriend. So she's set near the fiddle to an ugly black male. He's pretty pathetic too. He's ugly. He's creepy. It's like, gosh, she must be a dog. Can you imagine a bigger dog? If someone would cheat on you for an ugly little black man that's got a squeaky little voice like a little girl. And he's been outfitted to look like what? Oh, he'll look like he's a cop. Probably Officer Bobby helped him. Oh, here comes someone. He put his hand up. It's another little man. I don't know if you saw him. White.